Welcome everybody, and we are back with the May podcast. You got Malcolm here, you got AY here.
What's up, y'all?
In a different setting, but it all looks the same to y'all on YouTube, so we're straight. AY, how you feeling?
I'm not gonna lie, I like this room. It's just that I wish we had longer cords for the headphones because the mic stands were fine. It's just that I had to move the table up to the headphones, so it looks kind of weird. But I feel like if we were to have like 4 people, I feel like this is
it'd be a perfect setup.
This is a good setup. Although the one in the room that we usually record is not a bad setup either, to be honest.
Yeah,
but,
Hey. No, I like. I mean, we improvise. That's what we do. So, but it's not bad. It's a little different feel.
It is what it is. I mean, I guess what I like mainly is I don't have to have my Mac on the couch. Like I can have everything on the table.
Yeah.
And be able to touch everything. Everything's like real close.
Yeah. I feel a little bit claustrophobic up in here.
Why
Not terribly, but like it's smaller. Like when right now I can only see like you and then like maybe the board behind you and like that's pretty much it. Like whereas like I can kind of pan the room, my eyes can pan the room a little bit more when we're in the other room. But I don't know. We're gonna get into the groove of things anyway. All so right. First topic.
We already know what we're talking about first.
Yeah.
So you want to go ahead and start?
So the trial, which was yesterday, right? Or it feels long.
Like 2 days ago, I think.
It feels like it was still. I don't know.
I think it was 2 days ago. I think it was
Tuesday. Probably. No. Now that I think about it, it was 2 days ago.
It was Tuesday.
2 days ago. I missed a portion of practice just to watch the trial.
I mean, Derek, what's his last name? Like Chauvin?
Chauvin.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. So again, I think what really shocked me first and foremost is the fact that he was convicted on all 3 accounts that he was like being brought up against him because I wasn't expecting.
Obviously a good shock.
That.
Obviously a good shock, not a bad shock.
I mean, yeah, duh. But like, I was not expecting that. But I remember scrolling through my timeline, and I just saw that Malcolm X quote talking about how like white people would try to give you like symbolic victories instead of economic equality, and
right.
It just.
Right. That resonated with you.
It reminded me of it again because it's like, sure, that he was convicted of second degree unintentional murder, third degree murder, second degree manslaughter. But like, I mean, sure, this one black man was ensured justice. But again, like literally like 2 hours after his trial was kicked off, there was pretty sure she was 16, I think. 16-year-old girl shot and killed in Columbus, Ohio. I can't believe I'm forgetting her name at the moment. So give me a second, because it's supposed to say the name. So give me a second.
Yeah, nah. And then the thing with Wright,
Kaya Bryant theory.
Yeah, and then the thing with Wright that happened in Minneapolis, literally just no more than a few weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. So yeah, no. On one hand, I think it's bittersweet because it's like someone posted this and they said that like the ultimate goal would be for Floyd to still be here. That would be like the best result out of all of this happening. Now, granted,
to me, the best result out of all of this would be that I don't even want to say police reform because right. I feel like, I mean, we'll get to this later because this will be another topic, but I feel like the police are so corrupt and just the bases that they're built off, their origins and just what they were built off of is too corrupt and too racist to the point where I feel like you can't really reform that. You have to sort of disband it and then make it anew. But there's also problems with that, which I'll get into later. But for those of y'all who were paying attention, basically in the fall and a little bit of the summer last year to what was going on in like Nigeria with SARS.
Right. SARS, yeah.
The thing is with SARS is they had already been disbanded before.
They had people...
But the thing is,
pretty much communal people, working in those jobs. So it wasn't like there was like a racial difference.
Yeah, but it comes back to the problem that they had disbanded SARS before because SARS has been a problem in Nigeria for a long time. Right. They had disbanded SARS before, but they still were able to hire the same officers who were working on SARS to the department still, and SARS just ended up coming back. And so it's like, I mean, I don't know how effective abolishing the police would be. Essentially, I mean, we'd have to work around it, but I mean. What were you gonna say before I cut you off?
No, you're good. No, I was just gonna say that, like, I don't know, like, I really did have a high level of relief after, he was charged for all 3 counts. But at the same time, like immediately right after that, I was just thinking like, I don't know, like this should be like I don't want to call it a gimme, but this should be something that we wouldn't even have to ponder on. Like this, like, but in situations like this, you know what I'm saying? Like this is something that we have to kind of consider relief because there's been countless times where they haven't gotten it right. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know, but I'm just at his like I'm still at like somewhat of like a conflicted state just because it's like George Floyd's family got justice to a certain extent, but I just think that there's just a bigger picture here that we're barely scratching the surface when it comes to it, though. But yeah, but I think that this is. I mean, as you mentioned before with Malcolm X or whatever, right? Like, although it's a small victory, it's a victory nonetheless. I feel like we should cherish it, but at the same time, like, not, cherish it to the point where we forget what we have to do or we forget, where our sights should be at.
I think my sentiments are basically what Naomi Osaka's are, which you know who she is.
Yeah.
She was tweeting how like she wanted to put out a celebratory tweet, but it's like this is something that should be the norm. Like,
right.
This is something that should already exist, and that we shouldn't necessarily have to celebrate these moments because they're so few and far in between. Because this should already exist, and it's like. It just reminds me that being black in America is exhausting, and how especially lately, I've been seeing a lot of people complain on Twitter talking about how why are like movies that star black people, why are they always about some trauma or about some pain or about like slavery and things like that. But it's like if you really take the time and you really look at it, a lot of the black experience is actually like just all
rooted
this trauma
in
and this pain, and so I understand people might not want to see those movies. At the end of the day, art is imitated by life, and so when that's like when a lot of your source material that you're drawing from is that, and a lot of the experience you have are those experiences, of course you're going to see them all over movies. Now, I'm not saying like I wouldn't enjoy seeing like happy black movies, but I also understand the reality of where we live in, and that most of the time we won't see these happy movies because again we have things like George Floyd where a man is killed and they instantly try to dehumanize him, degrade his character, talk about how he was like a drug addict and how he was a convict. And it's like, that's not the point. The point isn't that he was some angel who died, because I feel like that. I hate that. I hate that they automatically try to dehumanize him. The point is he's a human being who lost his life in a way that he really should not have lost his life. And that if he was a white man in that situation, he probably wouldn't have lost his life. And that's what it's about. And I feel like that's what a lot of people like Brett Favre will miss. Because he just recently was talking about how like he doesn't feel like Chauvin killed George Floyd on purpose. Which I mean, okay, whatever, bro. Like Brett Favre just learned how to shut the fuck up. In my opinion, like he just needs to shut up. Or like how
there's no like for me it's just like like there's no being neutral on this. Like there's really no, because like even being neutral, you have a
it's two
stance.
sides.
Yeah, exactly.
At the end of the day, it's two sides, and to be neutral is to be on the other side.
Right.
So it's either you're with the people of Black Lives Matter. I'm not talking about just necessarily the movement. I'm talking about the phrase.
Right.
Or you're with the other crowd who they might not agree with it, or they think, Black Lives Matter is this evil organization, and they're also misinformed about how Marxism, communism, socialism, these evil things, when in reality it's not necessarily that these things are evil, and the system that you're living under, in my opinion, is actually a lot more evil than what Marxist was ever. I said Marxist. What Marx was ever talking about, what communism, socialism are. So I mean, I don't know, but I find it because I'm working on a writing piece about it, and I'll probably end up like after I finish writing it, I'll probably come in here and record myself reading it, and then probably put it up on the YouTube, and then put the written version up in other places. But it like something that I really emphasized in there was just the fact that it was I always come back to that feeling of exhaustion all the time. It's like, damn, another one, especially after like 2 hours after with Miss Bryan. It's like. We can't we have a moment of celebration which we should take, but immediately after that moment of celebration, it's another life taken away, and it's just exhausting because this is like an everyday occurrence is what it feels like. Between the police shootings, between the mass shootings, it's just I don't know, being an American and being an African American is just an exhausting experience.
Yeah, I think you just spoke for both of us in that regard. But yeah,
So with that, that leads me to the next topic.
Right.
So after, with all the problems that the black community has with the police and just everything that extends from it, do you think that policing in America is like a real issue?
I mean, we kind of talked about this earlier, but
We have, but they
I'm gonna try to.
haven't,
I'm about
so-
to say I'm gonna try to keep it as fresh as possible, and say, I do. I mean, it's kind of hard to answer this question since I kind of already know what route you're gonna take, sort
That's
of.
fine. Answer the
but I'm gonna
question.
answer. But
Answer it
I'm gonna
how
answer
you
it from a
feel. I
genuine,
was about
from
to
a
say,
genuine
yeah.
place,
Answer how you
without
feel.
without what we talked about the other day, and still say that I do think policing is a problem. That goes without question. I think that you know, the police system is a problem because we created a hierarchy to where a certain amount of people hold a certain amount of power, right? It's no longer, the idea of serving and protect. It's the idea of having power over another group of people, or groups of people. And, once that becomes a focal point and not like protecting and serving the community, that's when you know you have an issue. That's when you know that the system isn't right. So in short, yeah, I do think policing is a problem. How we go about solving that problem, you kind of alluded to it earlier. It's one of those things where like we do have to like deconstruct the system, right? But there also needs to be a matrix where, more people like us need to get involved and take part in being a part of it, right? But understanding like why we're trying to be a part of it, like why we're trying to like get involved and stuff like that, right? So we have the perspective of knowing like how people like us react in certain situations and the situations that we go through, the circumstances that we're going through and stuff like that. But that is complicated, obviously, because a lot of us have had bad experiences with law enforcement, right? So telling somebody to get involved in law enforcement when they've had many problems in law enforcement kind of sounds counterintuitive. But I don't know, in an ideal world, there's a deconstruction of the system, and then there's more of a well-balanced, well-versed array of people that are involved in the system and not just heavily dominated by a group of people. So
I feel like there might be a lot of people that are going to be probably unhappy with my answer, but to me, I don't think policing is a problem in America. And, at first when you hear that, it's like, how can you believe that when you understand where I come from, my influence of Malcolm X. The thing is, I think policing is just a symptom of what the actual problem is. And I think the actual problem is the fact that, again, we live in a capitalistic society where at the end of the day, there has to be a group or groups of people that have to be taken advantage of in order for that top 1% to get the money that they have, to get the wealth that they have. And so while, Malcolm was just talking about how he believes, while you were just talking about how you believe that the police, they no longer serve and protect, my thing is, I don't think they were ever really meant to serve and protect people. I think they were meant to serve and protect property first, and then people. Of
well,
a
I don't
certain
want
race
to.
and
I
a
don't want to
certain
make it
color
seem
second.
like I don't want to make it seem like the system at one point was always like on a good track because it never was in the first place.
I know what you're saying.
I'm saying like the initial.
Yeah, I know.
You're
You're
talking
talking about, you're
right,
talking about
yeah.
the idea of police,
Yeah.
but I feel like how they operate in America, that's not how it is, and
Right.
it's because in a capitalistic society, the way you make wealth is through ownership, whether that's ownership through property, ownership of your own businesses. At the end of the day, it's tied to land. It's tied to land and land property and other types of property, which is why, like in the Breonna Taylor case, the officers, they weren't charged with necessarily shooting at her or shooting into their apartment. They were charged with shooting.
Like
and
like
the
public
damage
unrest or something like that.
It's because their shots went through her apartment
Right.
and went into the neighbor's apartment. So they were charged for the bullets that went into the neighbor's apartment. And that, again, that just comes back to the fact that the police are they're more worried about protecting other people's property just because in the capitalistic society, again, that's
Right.
how you make your money.
Right.
But it also comes to me, if you look at the history of the police department, from them being, the remnants of slave patrols
Right.
to just how they've always been like this violent source to sort of use to really keep the black community down. It really comes back to me. It's not. It's like, I don't think that they're a problem. I feel like they're just a symptom of what the actual problem is. Like if we were to take away capitalism per se, I feel like then policing is not going to be as bad because then you don't have this focus on, you have to protect property and you have to keep this one group down so that everybody else in the country can benefit off of you keeping these minorities down.
But I do think there still be an aspect of the discriminatory practices, especially if it's heavily like populated by the majority, by white people. So on one hand, I do agree with the capitalistic aspect. I think that was a dimension I really kind of neglected in the conversation. But I still feel like even with like, if you would take away the capitalistic aspect, there still needs to be like a good mix of like different people within the system to kind of make sure it functions properly. To make sure that like one group isn't being like,
I know what you're saying, but that's where I feel like you can't have the police departments as we know. I feel like you can't perform that. Because at the end of the day, they're based off of these, like they've basically, encouraged their officers to have these racial standards. They often will have people who don't live in these black neighborhoods patrolling those same black neighborhoods. So, they don't understand the situations that they're in or their distrust of the police. They often don't try to build relationships with people in the community, which, it's not fair to all officers because I do know officers who try to, but at the end of the day, it's just being hard.
They already have that stigma on
That's what I'm saying. You have that stigma. And then, I think, so like, to build off of that, I feel like racism is really like basically something that's used as like a tool to help capitalism really prevail easier. And it's really because if you really think about it, in order to enslave another human, at least to the extent that they did it to where we were basically like cattle to an extent, like herd animals or work animals, you have to like dehumanize people to an extent. And so if you just take a whole race of people and you decide, okay, these people are going to be the workers for us. So we have to, as a race of white people, as rich white people trying to make money and not trying to use paid labor, we have to figure out a way to dehumanize these people so that we don't see them as human. But then the people, who might not be able to own slaves, who might not be rich enough to own slaves, can also see these people as not people. And it gives them like somebody to sort of voice and let out their anger at. Because like with Bacon's Rebellion,
that was just pretty much like a coalition between the poor blacks and poor whites. But then what happened was they, instead of putting like poor whites on the same plateau as, or like trying to propel them to the same plateau as like the whites that have like obviously more of, the wealth or whatever, they just decided to give them privileges that the blacks don't have.
Yeah, essentially. So you essentially take their anger and their frustration and give them a way to vent it instead of venting at the people who they really should be venting it at. They go ahead and vent it at the slaves because, you're telling them that, one, the slaves are lower than them. And a lot of the times people are going to shit on the people who are lower than them. And then, two, you're also telling them, they're the reason why you don't have a job because it's literally their purpose in life is to be servants to white people, is to be in service of these white people. So now they literally don't have jobs because these black people exist. Whereas I remember like watching the Trevor Noah show. I forget the lady's name, but she was talking about how she has a book. And she was talking about how white supremacy does a lot of damage to white people, too. And it's the white people who are outside the top percent because it sort of gives you this promise that, one day you'll have the opportunity to actually get to where we are, the 1%, where you have the money and the success and the ability to do what you want. And oftentimes they don't get there. And then they're left like sort of confused and they don't know what to call it. And they're just frustrated that they can't get to the promised land that they were promised by these white people, by the top 1%, and the top 1% know that they'll never get there. And so, I find it was interesting she decided to call it white supremacy. I decided to call it, again, capitalism, really, because that's what it is. Because at the end of the day, the thing that makes capitalism so appealing to a lot of people is that it doesn't matter necessarily where you come from, per se. You can make it to the top if you just put the work in. But the problem with that is not everybody's going to make it to the top, and it's hard as hell to make it to that level, and that's what people don't understand. So a lot of the times
it's a mixture of hard work plus opportunity. plus
luck.
exploiting people. And
That's
plus,
what I'm saying. Like
yeah.
literally, like again, it goes back to how capitalism is really built off of the exploitation of people, which is why like you had all these European colonies in Africa because Europe isn't a land that's really rich in natural resources, whereas Africa is this land that's hugely, like enormously wealthy in terms of natural resources such as diamonds and coal
Right.
and limestone and other things like that. So, like I said, it's like this it's like this empty promise to where, you know, I promise that if you follow along with this structure, you can end up getting there. And then most of the time, people don't end up getting there. And so I feel like the police, again, are part of that reinforcement to try to help and keep black people in this oppressed state so that we can always be available to be taken advantage of, especially through the mass, oh my God, through mass incarceration. Damn, thank you. I can't believe I forgot. But through mass incarceration and just through, you know, other white businesses being able to move their businesses into black communities and take advantage of them, or like gentrification and other things like that. So I feel like the police aren't really a problem. They're just an extension of what the problem is, and that's the fact that we live in this capitalistic society that gives them the power to do what they end up doing to oppress us so bad is because that's what they're designed to do and that's what they're supposed to do in order to reinforce and keep capitalism working as it is.
On this topic, just for the general audience, I don't know if it's still on Netflix, but if you ever have the opportunity to watch it, there's a documentary called The 13th that kind of talks about mass incarceration and how you know, the criminal justice system kind of aligns to like the origins of slavery and how, you know what I'm saying, a prison industrial complex can be built. And was built in the United States. So if you haven't seen it, make sure you watch it. It's very eye opening. It's a lot of information, and I feel like not just for, you know, white people that don't understand how it works, but just for black people as well to kind of understand like how the system is against us. So if you haven't seen it, make sure you check it out or whatever. All right, you kind of ready to move on to something lighter a little bit?
We can. Because I assume that's what your next topic is, because you don't like being heavy and dark all the time.
No, it's fine. I was about to say, I
mean,
don't have no issue with that. I want to move on to a topic you had more to say or whatever, you know.
Just speaking on the 13th, I guess. I guess one of the things that really shocks you about it is the fact that, you know, you don't really think of the prison system and mass incarceration really its roots starting in like 63, 64.
Right. Mm-hmm.
But the truth is that that's the first period of mass incarceration we see in America, because now you have all these freed slaves who have nowhere to go. They have no land.
Right.
They don't have homes. Mm-hmm. And so you're able to arrest them for bogus crimes like loitering or homelessness and shit like that. And then all of a sudden now they're back working for the same plantation owners that they were just freed from.
Right.
And so, like I said, I feel like the police, again, are set up to oppress black people and sort of be this pipeline to sort of make sure that these people in these low communities are fed into the prison industrial complex, so that, you know, all these businesses who survive off of prison labor can do so.
Yeah. Nah, and I think another thing that was very eye-opening is it doesn't really go into full depth about it, but it also kind of introduces the idea of like the school to prison pipeline, which people don't understand how like the way a school is set up literally feeds into the prison industrial complex in certain communities and certain demographics. That is also an eye-opening thing for me, because you can kind of see like how certain schools can kind of perpetuate this idea, or perpetuate the idea that like young black males in particular are a danger to society, a menace to society, which is another movie that kind of alludes to like that perception that you know, the white majority have. But yeah, no, the 13th was such a great documentary. I'm glad Michelle Alexander was on there. She took part in producing it a little bit, I believe. But I'm glad she was on there because her book on the new Jim Crow kind of aligns to what we've been talking about too. And that was such a great book. I had the opportunity of reading it twice because of classes, but also I had an opportunity to read it by myself again in preparation towards one of my pretty much my Black Studies dissertation last semester. So, but yeah, got anything else?
Not at the moment, because again, I want to say some of the stuff for my writing and my recording of it. So we can move on.
We talked about I forget. Well, we talked a little bit about movies earlier, which is kind of funny because one thing that I had the opportunity of doing last year was be a part of a screenwriting class. So I was able to write a screenplay, or at least a portion of it, and it made me have more of a deep respect for people who are like creating these stories, who are creating these films, who create the scripts and like the storylines or whatever. Because cinema is so different from like fiction or like any other type of like medium that you're trying to make. Right, exactly. Any type of medium you try to like create a narrative and whatnot. So my question to you is, if you were a screenwriter, like what would be the movie you would try to create? I know that's a tough one. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to drop a bomb on you.
No, that's fine. It's a couple different ones. I like war movies, but not necessarily the ones that are like focused on action per se. I like the ones that are focused on the effects of war.
Right.
And like,
so you're not like a John Wayne enthusiast, like somebody that like glorifies it.
No,
like,
I like honest takes on war. I don't like the John Waynes where they glorify. I like
kind of romanticizing.
I like
war,
the things more like, so it's this these two mini series that are about World War II that I think you might enjoy. It's Band of Brothers and it's The Pacific, and they're both executively produced by like Steven Spielberg.
Yeah,
damn, I can't talk. And Tom Hanks, but
okay,
like basically, for Band of Brothers, they like follow this this paratrooper company named Easy Company through like their experience through the war.
Okay.
And so instead of like glorifying the violence, you get to really see what it is and see that most of the time at this point, these people aren't fighting for like their country or for nationalism. So that might be why they ended up joining. But most of the time, these people are fighting because they care so much about the man next to them that they don't want to let him down, and that they're willing to do anything for him.
What's the name of the first one you just named?
A Band of Brothers.
Okay.
And then they're both 10-part miniseries. I mean, we can watch them together. And then the other one is The Pacific, and again, it's the same thing. Whereas like it's three people that you follow throughout the whole Pacific theater of the war. And again, it just touches on the reality of war and how war isn't something that should be glorified. It's really this dark thing that changes people for the rest of their lives, and that these horrible things that they see and a lot of times have to do in order to stay alive, in order to ensure victory, will stay with them for their entire life. And so there's a movie, it's sort of relates to that. It's called Flags of Our Fathers. And so it's intertied with like action in terms of like you get to see what the soldiers did on Iwo Jima, but a lot of it is also focused on how the war affects them when they go back home, and how they have trouble facing the reality. That's like if I was writing a screenplay, I would like to focus on that aspect, and just the fact that we oftentimes in America we like to glorify guns and weapons and soldiers, and when in war, and when oftentimes war is not something that should be glorified, it's something that's dark and changes people for the rest of their lives. And I would like to focus on that aspect, on soldiers like returning home and actually having to integrate into regular society, and how hard that is for them, because you've gone through this experience that you'll never be able to escape.
Right. And I can honestly, because like you've seen Dead Presidents, right?
Right.
Yeah. So like that is like a subtle commentary on like, black men who return from war from Vietnam, which is more like closer to home, like because it's a little bit more relevant or whatever, just because it's a lot closer to our time period opposed to like the other wars and stuff like that. So I can see you making a movie pertaining to that or whatever. Maybe a little bit more from
I wasn't omniscient World War II.
I was about to say like more from like an omniscient, maybe not a personal narrative. I can see you kind of doing that, but like from more of an omniscient type.
I think I was already cut you off. Go ahead.
No. But I was just saying that. You can go ahead.
But I think Vietnam would be a great example, just especially from a black soldier's perspective,
Right.
and also maybe from a white soldier's perspective too. Because in Vietnam, that's the first time the army, well, not just the army, the whole military is integrated, and so I think it would be real interesting to kind of explore that dynamic to where you have white and black soldiers who serve together on the front lines, and all of a sudden you have this white soldier whose opinion of black soldiers might be changed, but then they have to go back and they're faced with the reality that American society hasn't advanced to the point that maybe the military has in terms
Right.
of seeing black people as equal and being integrated and having to fight alongside these people. Your opinion of these people have changed. And so now you kind of have like this, I don't want to say duty, but like this moral compass to where you want to try to step in and try to advocate for change and equity for these people, because at the end of the day, you've come to go through this traumatic experience with them and learn that you can count on them, and now you see them as humans and as brothers at the end of the day. Like, I feel like that would be real interesting.
Right.
And then I'll name two more because I'm really into horror, but like I feel like a lot of the horror movies that rely on jump scares, I hate those, because jump scares aren't really like jump scares is just a cheap.
So you're
way to
more
get
into like
scared.
the psychological.
I'm more into the psychological, but I'm a big atmosphere guy. So
Okay.
like I feel like
So like the environment having
that's what I'm
a
saying.
role
Like-
in like the
like
horror.
yeah, exactly.
okay.
So like I guess that's why I like it so much, because a lot of it isn't around jump scares per se. It's like the set pieces,
right.
and just you get to see how the characters are feeling. You get this uneasy feeling through the music, through the setting, and the environment that's around it. And that's the type of horror that I like, because I feel like that's a lot more effective, and that will stick with people a lot more than just a jump scare where you're
But
like,
are
oh,
you-
okay, I got scared.
Are you
I'm
like?
cool now.
I feel like you're more of like you like more of the realism aspect, meaning that like the people that are like causing the horror are like actual people, not no supernatural type.
I mean, I can do both.
Okay.
But at the end of the day, I feel like, because again, the monster that's it, with the
Right.
clown Pennywise, but the monster's name is actually it,
Right.
is a supernatural force. It's
Right.
like something that's not from this planet, and it can change its appearance depending on who is hunting and what their biggest fear is. But a lot of that movie just comes down to that atmosphere. I think that's also why The Shining is pretty good, because
Johnny.
because yeah, exactly, because like that whole, just the idea that the hotel can really like affect how you think and how you feel. It's the
Right.
environment that you should be scared of, not necessarily just okay, there's something in the corner, is there, and then it jumps out at you. I feel like those are like cheap scares. And then the last one, definitely would have to do something with like the black experience. I remember taking my sophomore year, I was taking this class and we were going over slave music, and I just kept.
What class were you in?
It was a music 101 class, I think. But it was like basically like music from all over the world outside of like hip hop and everything like that. And so like we looked at jazz, we looked at blues and jazz, and we also looked at like slave music, so like field chants. And so like it just popped in my head that maybe you could have like a musical where it's like takes place during slavery, and you have this musical, but instead of like actual songs and set pieces per se, it's more so like the music of the time, where you have these people having to do these field chants or have to do like these labor songs, these work songs, and these other things. Because a lot of the times what people don't understand is these songs have double meaning. So
Right.
like I'm pretty sure the song's called Michael Row the Boat, but you know the song I'm talking about. It's one, literally, like a lot of the times they're talking about something that happens in the Bible to try to give them hope, but a lot of the times they're also talking in code and talking about their feelings of how they feel trapped and they want to escape this situation that they're in.
Right.
And so I feel like that's an interesting dynamic to look at. I'd like to do that, but I would also like to do other stories. So like, I guess you could do like, again, sports is always interesting, but like that musical has always been something that's really stuck in my head ever since the idea came to me, because I feel like that could be a real good and enjoyable movie. It doesn't necessarily have to be super dark per se, like a lot of slave movies are, because even like some people might not like that I'm gonna say this, but like, so if you've seen 12 Years a Slave, most plantations weren't that rough or that brutal because most of the slave owners understood that these slaves, like, you had to pay for them. So killing a slave or maiming him to the point where he can't work for you a lot of times is a loss of profit because that's stupid. You paid him to work on your fields, and just going to just meme him for no reason per se is kind of like, that's a waste of money. As you know, as fucked up as it is. So like, it's not like 12 Years a Slave is like slavery turned up to like notch 11. It's not all plant. I'm not saying there weren't plantations like that. I'm not saying there weren't instances of slaves being mistreated like that, but it's not as like widespread as we would want to believe it is now today. But yeah, those are mine. What about you, Sir Malcolm?
Well, I was working on one, but I'm not going to use that one. I think I don't know. I think I low key do have like a sweet spot for rom-com. I don't know why. But like the thing is that like I like it when executed properly. Rom-com can actually be a like
Rom-com.
Yeah. It can act like when executed properly.
Rom-com.
When executed properly, it can actually be.
You're a romantic? Damn, I don't know why I couldn't get that out. You're a romantic?
I would venture to say so. I mean, yeah. I don't want to proclaim that, and you know, my actions or practices say otherwise.
Well, let me ask you this then. Because you know, as an English major, especially with creative writing, how you have to have this portfolio, and I know you do a lot of poetry. What do you find that you oftentimes write poems about love?
Usually, it has double meaning to it. Like I always compare. Like I never look at it from I wouldn't say I never look at it from I look at it from the standpoint of like something that is like a mystique being opposed to like something that's actually tangible because love is subjective. So I always look at it as like what love means to me and what is like the ideal of love or like the ideal expression of love. And how often do I write poems about that? Not often, just because it's one of those things where like it's something that like it takes a lot for me to tap into just because like, you know, I don't like I said, love, the concept of love is such a distinct thing to where like I don't want to oversaturate it by making every poem about it. Like I probably have like out of probably like the 60, 70 poems I made in my time here, I probably only have like maybe 6 about like the concept of love, and maybe 3 of them are explicitly about love, or the concept of it. But the reason why I say rom-com is because I think it does a great job. I think rom-com actually does a great job of imitating life to a certain extent in terms of like having like a movie or like having a movie that pretty much imitates like the ups and downs of life, right? There's going to be moments that are great. There's going to be moments that are terrible. There's going to be moments that are funny. There's going to be moments that are, you know, dull. Like it's just, I don't know. But a good rom-com is something that I'm aiming for. Now, obviously, I think the hard part about making rom-coms is finding the medium of it being slightly hokey, but not to the point where you kind of, not to the point where it's not funny anymore. Like you just have to have a really good mix in the comedy plus like the romantic atmosphere you're trying to create. And I don't know, but like I said, like I think I just want to do that for the sense of it being a challenge because, like I said, like it's kind of nowadays it's quite hard to make a good rom-com just because like it's been duplicated so many times and it's kind of predictable, you know, and it's just like I don't know, like I will want to like, you know, take on the task of like making a good rom-com, something that is like somewhat realistic, even though I like when you're dealing with romance, right, there's going to be parts that aren't realistic or whatever, or won't imitate life in the best extent. But I don't know. I just want to take on that challenge of making a good rom-com. So that's one. And what would the rom-com be about? I would probably focus more on I actually focus on marriage because I feel like it's quite easy to make a movie about people first meeting, people falling in love, and then like them having a falling out and them rekindling something, right? But I feel like capturing how marriage is, right? And how much of a, I don't want to call it a chore because it's a really delicate thing, but like how much work goes into marriage, right? Like over like a series of a couple of hours is something I really want to do just because like we're in a time period which we're going to have an episode soon pertaining to a married couple that we kind of not necessarily want advice from but want an outlook from. But anyway, making a movie about marriage, right? The work that it takes and also why sometimes it doesn't work is something that I really want to focus on. Because a lot of people just think that like if you love someone, it's just easy as that. Or if you have love for someone, or if you're in love with each other, it's just as easy as that. But it's not that simple. So I don't know. But that would be one thing that I want to focus on. The second thing that I would probably focus on is I don't know. I think I've always been intrigued with how celebrities kind of get bored with life because when you're a celebrity, you kind of reach a point where like you'll have all the accolades, you'll have all the money, you'll have everything that you would want at a particular point to where like you're bored with life. Like, especially people that are like, I don't know, that like own companies, right? It's different if you're like a musician where like, music can be your muse to a certain extent. Like you can kind of like put what you're feeling into like another medium of life or whatever. But like somebody that like a Bill Gates or whatever that just owns everything, or like a CEO or whatever, like you're the top dog, right? But at the same time, like you're gonna reach a certain point where it's just like none of that even matters anymore. And so like what does that person do when they start to run out of things that kind of have meaning for them?
I think with Bill Gates, he's a good example is because he does a lot of charity work and he does a lot of investment into science studies. So like one of the things like he's put money behind is like, so a lot of times there are these parasites in water in a lot of places in Africa. And so it's kind of expensive to like really take the water from that area, take it to a treatment place where it can be treated. Like that's expensive. And so I forget what the straws are called, but there are these straws that you can literally put into the water that's infected, and it has like this built-in filter it'll take the water through a process and clean the water. So by the time it hits your mouth, it's 100% clean, and it's like clean drinking water that you can drink. And so like he puts his stuff into projects like that, and just being able to, he wants to help the world as much as he feels like he can to an extent, which, I mean, part of it is I like that he does this, but another part of me also understands that if he really wants to try to turn the world around, he should like really invest a lot more of his wealth into other programs and trying to set up other social programs and things like that. But I feel like if you're like a celebrity or somebody that has a lot of money, you get bored. I feel like you just have run out of ideas, or you're contempt, or you just don't want to really change anything in your life because you are where you are. Because at the end of the day, there's always something you can be doing.
Yeah, nah, but yeah, honestly, that would be another movie that I would like make as a focal point. Just like the idea of like having everything and not knowing what else to do. And then the last thing I'll probably say, it's kind of stuck between two. The first part being, I would honestly want to do a biopic over a rapper. Like I really want to do that because I feel like I would treat
a biopic over J. Cole. We already know.
Honestly, no. I will honestly want to do it over a rapper where like there isn't that much of a subjectivity towards it. Like obviously he's one of my favorite artists or whatever. So I wouldn't want to do a biopic over Cole just because it's like, I don't know. Like I think I would like do too much to it. Like I would take the humanity. Like I don't think I would like. I don't know. Like I think I revere him too much to the point. It would be easy, but I'm saying like from the standpoint of making a movie out of it.
I know what you're trying to say.
I don't think it would be the best route for me to take.
I know what you're trying to say. I mean, I have a lot of reverence for Malcolm X, but I think it's important to be able to look at your idols and realize that they're human, and there are some things that you know, even though that's your idol, you can look at things that they've done that you might not agree with, or realize that they have their own flaws and their problems in how they went about doing things that, you know, you could try to elaborate on. So, like, for example, with Martin Luther King, or I like the fact that he started his war on poverty, and he was really trying to like enforce these socialist programs. Something that I've always knocked him for, and especially after our class with Dr. Thomas, is the fact that he had trouble appealing to black youth
Right.
because he doesn't he didn't really
Like when he went to Chicago and
Yeah.
those places, like
because
yeah.
even though like he was for black people, you don't hear him ever like really trying to empower black people in his speeches. He's more talking about, you know, equality, you know, how we should all come together. Where somebody like a Malcolm X is telling you, you know, there's strength in your blackness. And I feel like because of that, that's why like he doesn't really hit with the youth as much, because I feel like he's a little bit out of touch because he doesn't talk about, you know, how there's power in being black, and also he really understood racism in terms of Jim Crow and the laws that were in the South and segregation. Whereas like when he went to like California after the Watts riots, he realized that it's a lot bigger of an issue.
I'm about to say it functions differently in an urban setting than it does a rural southern setting. So. But yeah, no, I think I would want to make a biopic over a rapper. I don't know which rapper, but a rapper in particular.
I got
It's
one.
because I would treat it with.
I got one for you.
That's just because I would treat it with so much care, and I feel like what usually happens is that like a lot of these people that make these biopics like really, really are in tune with like, you know, what hip hop is as a culture, and like how it kind of transcends other genres, other mediums, other cultures and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like with me having that insight, I think I would treat it with a lot of care, and I think I'd do a fairly good job. But who are you gonna say?
Andre 3000.
I don't know. I mean, I actually, you know what? I'll take that back. I probably would, just because he's such a dynamic character as it is.
One, he's dynamic, but two, I feel like it's interesting to look at why he walked away from music,
Right.
and why he feels like he's not great at making music, even though he is.
Right, and I think it'll kind of answer a lot of questions about the relationship that him and Big Boy had, but also a lot of questions about his artistry and his like alignment to not just like Southern music, but also his alignment to hip hop in general. Because the group name is Outkast, and that's like there's no other perfect way to kind of like
To summarize what that group was when they came out.
or summarize Andre at that, because even Big Boy to a certain extent still kind of fits that mold of a Southern rapper, whereas Andre is very eclectic and like just like I think, but honestly, I do think Andre would be somebody I would do a biopic for, just because
I think he's very interesting because you have like him in his sort of like recluse state right now, but you can
Right.
also use his career and how he was able to take his rap career and use that to launch an acting career where he's in movies like Semi Pro and
he was in Four Brothers. He was
That too.
also, I'm trying to think of other movies he was
one
in.
more movie I remember him from that I can't think of. But then he has that show Class of 3000 too.
Great show. They ended that so. Oh my god, they always do that with the black shows. They
But
end
yeah,
it so early.
just in terms of that, I feel like he'd be interesting.
Yeah, no, but I would love to do a biopic over a rapper, or a bio, or like a little documentary over like,
Also do one on me.
a period. do a documentary over a period of rap music. Like I would love to do the period, I would love to do like the 2010 to 2016 period, before streaming really came into the fold. Like it was there, but it wasn't all the way there. Like I would love to do like a mini documentary about how streams kind of affected like how we not only digest music and consume music, but digest and consume is kind of synonymous, but just what artists begin to do, trying to cater to like the audience through streaming and stuff like that. I would love to do something like that too. And then the last movie that I would try to make or a prototype that I would try to like aim for would be something that pertains to fatherhood, specifically Black fatherhood. Like I would really want to do like something. The Pursuit of Happiness is one of my favorite movies. And I love the fact that it really focuses on Will Smith as a father, but also as a man who's trying to like get his footing in New York City. You know what I'm saying? But I think although I really do care about him trying to overcome his circumstances and like provide, you know what I'm saying, and like gain a job, I think I just really, really care about the father and son dynamic a lot more than him trying to get a job. Even though that's like a huge part of the plot and a huge part of like the
Right.
dynamic, I genuinely just care about the relationship that him and his son has. And I think that, you kind of see it in certain black films, like people like John Singleton and people like Spike Lee in certain situations. The Hughes brothers a little bit too, kind of like allude to fatherhood and the importance of it and what can happen when it's absent. But I will want to focus more on like what happens when it's there, and even when it's there, the complications that come with that when it's there. You know what I'm saying?
Because
Like,
a lot of the times you find that these black fathers who are involved in their kids' lives, a lot of the times they had a father who wasn't necessarily involved with their life, and so it's kind of hard for them to try to figure out how being a father is, because a lot of the times what people do is they based how they parent
Right.
off of what their parents did and how they felt about what their parents did and what they feel like worked and what they didn't work, what they feel like helps their kids and what might not help their kids.
and just how, you know what I'm saying, like just different time periods just kind of change how you have to approach raising your kids. Because like I can tell you what, like my father or whatever, I'm not saying my father as in my literal father, but I'm saying like I could have had a father that, you know what I'm saying, that had a great father, right? But the times are different. Like the route that his father took to raise him may not be the same route he can take to raise me, just because the times are so much different. There's so many different nuances to parenting now.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I think just focusing in on that would be something I would want to do too I don't know. I don't think I would be big on having like movies that are too long. Like obviously the rom-com probably be like an hour 40, close to 2 hours. The documentary probably be like an hour 15 to an hour 20. But like the father and son joint, I probably have it like a little bit longer, just because I feel like, there needs to be more of an emphasis on like that father and son dynamic. And the thing is like, I think the reason why movies aren't like that anymore is because in the 90s and 80s, there was such like an influx of movies that were focusing on that, to the point where like we kind of got fatigued.
Or at least had a dynamic.
Exactly.
Of it, yeah.
Right. Had a like dynamic of it, to the point where like we kind of like drew that in as like a cliche in black movies.
Like Friday and Boys in the Hood, for example. I feel like those are two movies that aren't necessarily focused on fatherhood, but
they allude to it.
Is a very important element that's in those movies.
Right. And to the point where like now we're kind of back to like just having the father in the background in some way, shape, or form. And I feel like it's time to bring it back to the forefront a little bit, but
You got one more topic? We're at
one more
52.
topic. This is about music. We always have a
About to be
topic about
53.
we always have a topic about music. This one is straightforward. While we were off air, I want to say a month ago, we were comparing years when it came to hip hop music or in music period. The 2 years I want to compare, or not necessarily compare, but want you, to choose between is 2016 and 2018. Now, I already have my choice, and I don't but it did take me some time to really analyze and sit down, like, okay, what came out, what had impact, and like the replay value, like what have I been playing, like even today, you know what I'm saying? And just, the time period it came out, like its cultural relevance and stuff like that.
Flower Boy came out 2016, right?
17.
17?
Yeah. So to give y'all a rundown, 2016, the projects I think of when it comes to 2016, I think of Untitled Unmastered, For Your Eyes Only, A Coloring Book, Telephone, The Life of Pablo, what other projects? Blank Face by Schoolboy Q. If you haven't heard that was a pretty dope album. Do What Thou Wilt by Absol came out around that time. Mac Miller, I'm pretty sure, had a release around that time. I want to say it was the Divine Feminine.
Came out in 2018. That's the one I really.
No. That was Swimming.
I said what came out. I'm saying like
Oh.
music that came out in 2018.
2018. What didn't come out in 2018? It's not my favorite. But I'm just naming marquee releases. The Gunna and Lil Baby collab project first came out. Astro World came out. Swimming came out. Co-release KOD. Mick Jenkins, No Name release. Care For Me came out by Saba came out. The Black Panther project came out. J-Rock came out with Redemption. I remember that too. Nas came out with his project. That was when Kanye did that 7-track joint.
Yeah.
With
Daytona
Kids See
Beach.
Ghosts. Daytona came out. Drake released 2 with Scorpion. A lot of releases in 2018, man. Benny the Butcher and like the Griselda Boys came out around that time. Logic released Young Sinatra 4, which was pretty dope. I ain't gonna lie. That was pretty dope. I'm trying to think of other stuff that came out too. Let me go to my phone real quick. I'm gonna give you time to pick, but I'm a.
I don't.
Oh,
know.
and Cardi B came out. I don't want to because she won a Grammy for it. So I'm not trying to shortchange the ladies either. So
I don't know because
yeah. So
for me, 20 like it's hard for me.
DiCaprio
because
2 came out. Championships by Meek Mill when he first got out of jail
Yeah.
came out.
21 Savage.
21 Savage.
I'm greater than I was.
Kamikaze by Eminem came out. Some rap songs by Earl Sweatshirt came out. The Carter 5, even though we're not really rocking with Lil Wayne right now. Oh, how did I not mention it? It's just so many albums. Book of Rhyme by Royce da 5'9" came out.
But hold on.
Die Lit came out.
Before we continue, how do you feel about the Carter File? Because I thought like a lot of people I've talked to were like, "Oh, it's great." I thought it was very underwhelming. At least to me, it was very.
I think people
underwhelming.
were waiting this so long that they just couldn't wait to like get some type of Wayne album, right? Or well, even though he's been releasing music, but like a Carter to be exact,
I think it was very underwhelming.
I think that they were just. I think that there was moments to where they could kind of justify it being a good album, but all the way through, like, I kind of said this about a few of Wayne's projects. I say that he'll have moments that'll like make you carry over, like make you gloss over the fact that there's like a slew of songs that aren't that great, but the moments are good to the point where you will overlook those slew of moments. Like he'll have something like Mona Lisa. He'll have
Everybody
something
kept trying
like
to tell me that his verse was better than Kendrick's on Mona Lisa. I was not having it. I still won't have it.
it is close. I'm not gonna lie.
not saying
Sometimes
it's
I do
not
lean
close.
towards Wayne just because like I just feel like I don't know. I just feel like just off the bars.
I
Like
think-
obviously
yeah.
Kendrick did more with like his voice and stuff like that, but just off the bars, it's really close. Like
I
it's
think
really
part
close.
of it. I think part of it that helps Wayne though is that his verse is longer. Which I mean that doesn't always benefit people, but I feel like if you gave Kendrick the same amount of time to spit, I still feel like Kendrick is better because
Bobby-
I like the imagery in his better, but I'll probably go 2018. But for me,
Let me keep going real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
Bobby Tarantino 2 came out.
yeah, I'm going to 2018.
Oxnard, even though it's not really hip hop, but we consider it a part of the hip hop culture. Oxnard by Anderson .Paak came out. A JPEG Mafia release, Playboy Cardi release. Even though I'm not a Playboy Cardi fan,
Die Lit.
I can admit that that's like a cult classic, and that kind of changed the landscape of how like a certain wave of rap for sure. I already mentioned Mick Jenkins; he's one of my favorite. MF Doom actually had his last project come out that year with I'm trying to remember who he collabed with. Who do you collab with? Scarface. My bad. Yeah. So I already mentioned Cole released.
I'm going to 2018.
Denzel Curry released Taboo. That's one of my favorite Denzel Curry projects.
I'm not a big Denzel Curry fan.
He's cool. Tierra Whack released Whack World. Nipsey Hussle released Victory Lap. Like I'm saying, like 2018.
Yeah, I'm going
is so-
2018. I don't know how you picked 2016.
I picked 20. I did pick 2018. I was about to say I did pick 2018. But we can go. We can for the sake of the and then one last one. Not all heroes wear capes. Even though like as an overall project, it's not great. It's still good for the sake. Like it's still like you know.
Who's that by?
Metro Boomin. That was like the his whatchamacallit. Like he still had a couple of songs that were did some pretty good numbers. But we'll go to 2016 just for the sake of it, as I mentioned.
You already went into 2016.
No, I'm just for the sake, because I still want to highlight how great 2016 was. So The Life of Pablo, Coloring Book, A Tribe Called Quest released their last album, which was one of my favorite albums that came out that year with We Got It From Here, Thank You For Your Service, Untitled Unmastered, like I mentioned, Blank Face by Schoolboy was one of my favorites too, Still Brazy by YG, the Atrocity Exhibition by Danny Brown was dope. Birds in the Trap Scene, McKnight by Travis Scott was dope. Not my favorite. Like, I'm not really a Travis Scott fan, but there's certain projects that I think were cool. So that was a pretty dope project. Views came out, which Views is not my favorite Drake album, but in terms of numbers, it was easily.
It did come out 2016. Views, it was early 2016. Yeah.
Views came out in April. I remember, but Views was not my favorite Drake project, but in terms of numbers, that was easily one of his like most good projects. For Your Eyes Only, one of my favorite, if not my favorite, Cole album. Stream Life 2 was another like commercial hit or whatever. I forgot about this album. Black America Again. This was a very dope album Common came out with. I think it was either right before or right after Trump came into office, so that was a pretty cool album. Malibu by Anderson .Paak, that was his first introduction into like, the fold. Isaiah Rashad, that was the last project he was released. That's his latest release with The Sun's Tirade. Pretty dope. Run the Jewels 3 came out. Evil, I don't know how you feel about Future, but Evil came out at that time. I already mentioned. Rihanna Anti came out in 2016.
That's what I was thinking of.
Telephone by No Name came out. Everybody's Looking, which was the project when Gucci first came out of jail that year. Do What Thou Wilt, I already mentioned that with Ab-Soul. Drum released. ASAP Ferg, Always Strive, and I forget the last part, but that album came out. Major Key also did come out that year.
I might have to go 2016.
Lemonade came out that year with Beyonce. Prima Donna by Vince Staples. Jeffrey came out that year.
I would like to change my vote to 2016.
A Seat at the Table by Solange came out. Blonde by Frank Ocean came out that year.
A Seat at the Table, that's the one that has cranes in the sky, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going 2016. I'm sorry.
And then last, Awaken My Love by
yeah, I'm going 2016.
I'm still going 2018. I'm sorry. I'm still going 2018 just because like the hip hop some of those hip hop albums are like I will say that like in 2016. So question, do you like Views more or Scorpion?
Probably Scorpion, although I feel like Scorpion too long.
I'm pretty was that 2019? No, he didn't. He released in 20.
It was 2018.
No, I'm trying to think of when he released. I ain't gonna call it Untitled, but he had like dates on his project.
I don't know what you're talking
Childish Gambino. He released a project into either 2020 or 2019.
I want to say 2019 because I think I know the project you're talking about. It came out around the same time that I'm pretty sure This Is America came out. I think it came out the same time. Let me look though.
I'm still going 2018 just because like my top 5 albums would be like the top 5 albums of like that year. I wouldn't say stump on, but like I don't know. Like I just feel like the 2018.
It came out 2020.
I just think 2018 just was so packed, and it was just like from front to back. Like there were spurts in 2016 where we're just like, we're still playing like albums from the beginning of the year.
That's right, because you didn't even touch about This Is America, and that came out in 2016. I said 2016, 2018.
The song came out, but not the project.
No, I don't think the song's on any project. I think it's not. Literally just a single.
I don't know. It's just like, but like when I look at 2018, Daytona, Astro World, Kids See Ghosts, KOD. DiCaprio 2, Redemption,
I think the difference is you're looking at 2018 from like a rap perspective, whereas
overall music, 2016 might get the edge. Yeah, overall music, yeah.
When it comes to like the overall music, like sure, 2018 was a great year for hip hop, but like overall music, like we haven't had Rihanna drop since fucking 2016. Cranes in the Sky, that song is beautiful.
If we're going strictly rap, it's easily 2018. But I can't.
But if we're like 20, music,
I'm about to say 2016 most definitely has the slight edge in terms of like. Let me go to R&B real quick to see 2018 R&B or what they consider R&B because they be tweaking sometimes. My Dear Melancholy came out. And The Weeknd did release in 2016. He released Starboy in 2016. My Dear Melancholy came out by The Weeknd.
See, but that's what I'm saying. 2016 is a little bit hard to me because 2017 was also, I feel like, a very good year for music too, because you had Janae.
Her came out.
Janae released.
No, I'm saying her came out in 2018, and then
2018, yeah.
Sweetener by Ariana Grande came out, which was that did numbers. Oh my god, that did numbers. Yeah, but I can see your case for 2016.
I'll probably go 2016.
I want 2018 just because I love R&B. You know what I'm saying, but like in terms of like hip hop, man, like 2018 was so potent. Like it was just so much. Like, but 2016 was like that though. It's just, but I think what kind of propels 2018 for me is just like it was both a great combination between like commercial stars and underground stars as well. So. But we zoomed through that a little bit. I got one last you dig.
Damn, we're at 1 hour and 5.
One last you dig. It's only gonna be 5 minutes.
That's fine.
Be 5 minutes.
Hurry up then.
All right. So we're both Kendrick fans. The other night I kind of pondered, what if there was one song that you would have to take off of each album, what would that one song be? By take, I mean it's like that's the only song you can listen to on that album. What song would it be? And we can start from
Section 80.
We can start from Overly Dedicated just because that's the earliest project it has on the streaming. Streaming sites.
So from Overly Dedicated, I'll probably take Ignorance is Bliss.
Okay.
From Section 80, it might. I think I'm gonna go with Spiteful Chant. Actually,
not Rigor Mortis.
No, just because
that's tough.
Just because I can't rap Rigor Mortis. Like I know the song like fucking word for word, but I can't rap that song at all. No matter how hard I try, I just can't. So that's why. What's after Good Kid, Mad City? Sing About Me, Dying of Thirst. I know you're gonna say that. Thirst. You already knew that one. I think that's probably my favorite Kendrick song of all time.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Then it's To Pimp a Butterfly. That one, I think To Pimp the Butterfly is the hardest one, but I think I feel
like you're Mortal Man. I feel like you're a Mortal Man type.
I'm actually gonna go with Mama.
Okay.
But
the beat is just so hypnotic. Like it's just
But like for me, it was gonna be between Mama, Mortal Man, How Much a Dollar Cost.
How Much a Dollar Cost is such a potent
For Sale.
For Sale. Okay.
But yeah, I'll probably end up going with Mama.
And then Damn,
I'm going with Fear.
And then to be whatchamacallit, what about Untitled?
Unmastered, Untitled track number 2. Get top on the phone. Cold Roll, Kenny.
So for me,
with the vision out.
So for me, if I'm going, we got to do Cold 2 in a little bit because this is a quick topic. For me, Overly Dedicated, I'm going with Alien Girl just because like, that is the most like. Literally, bro, like he was spitting game to a girl so cold. Like, you look better than Beyonce, Alicia Keys, and Halle Berry. Like, you tell a girl that, come on, man. Like, what? And then he was flowing on that. You gotta listen to Alien Girl again. That song was fire. But Alien Girl, and then like, no, I take that back. I'm going with
Ignorance is Bliss. I already know.
No. I'll go with.
He's fast in that song.
I will go with Tomorrow with Her. Tomorrow with Her, where he talks about why you gotta be so kind hearted, why you couldn't be a con artist. Like that song is very.
Like a lot. I thought you would pick the one with him and Janae. I forget the song, but like Janae
growing closer.
Growing apart just to get closer. Or something like that.
Yeah. So I'm going with Tomorrow with Her, and then for Section 80, I'm going with Absol's Outro. I know it's not Kendrick rapping on it, but Absol's outro is so...
that don't count, man.
It do though, because it's on the album.
We on a Kendrick album.
Okay, I'll tell you what. I'll take it back. Okay, fine.
Come on.
Fine. I'm going with...
Niggas gonna take a song that don't even have my mans on it.
No, I'm going High Power just because those two, 3 verses were crazy.
That's a good one.
Not even like you can take the fact that Cole produced the beat, but like High Power, High Power. Good Kid, Mad City is close. Like it's either between Sing About Me or it's Real. It's between those two. And they're right next to each other. So
you got to take one. Hurry. Well, 9 minutes, 45 seconds. Come on, you took it too long. Let's
okay,
go.
Fine. I'm going Sing About Me. Sing About Me.
Yes, sir.
To Pimp a Butterfly, I'm going Complexion. I feel like I know I said it quite fast, but it wasn't an easy thing. I'm going Complexion just because, man, like, I just love the production was beautiful, and then just talking about like
don't mean a thing.
man, and then just how we were able to intertwine
It's
like Complexion with like the Willie Lynch letter and like Rhapsody's verse at the end was crazy. So I'm going with Complexion, and then Untitled Unmastered, I'm going with. I'm either going with 3 or 5. 3 when he talks about the perspective of like what the white man say, what the Asians say, what the black man say, or 5 with Punch, him and J-Rock.
I'm surprised you ain't say 7. And just
I do like 7, but like
just
like,
because I was gonna say
like
I'm not even talking about 7 for the song. I was gonna talk about the interlude because I know you really enjoy that interlude. Where it's just him like sitting in the back. It's like basically. It's
oh
like
yeah,
yeah.
No.
Come on.
I'm gonna go with 3 just because I got to see him his Colbert performance of it was great too. So I'm gonna go with Untitled 3, and then for Damn I'm going with with Damn I'm probably going with
You look like
Feel. I'm going with Feel.
I was gonna say Duckworth, but okay.
Either Feel or Duckworth. It's between those two. Probably Feel just because like. Yeah, that's introspective Kendrick all day. So I'm probably going with Feel or Duckworth. Now we got to do Cole real quick.
That's what I feel like.
Just albums, just because he has enough to do that. But like just albums, pick one Cole. Pick one.
So the first one, the Sideline Story.
Yeah, don't pick a mixtape track though. You can't pick a mixtape track.
I wasn't. Nobody's perfect.
Okay.
Yeah.
Born Center. You gonna say Trouble? I feel like he was gonna say Trouble.
Damn, I can't think of the name of it.
Say the lyric.
Hold on.
Married Man act totally different when they by themselves, don't they?
No. I want to say it's like the second or third song. This is it. I used to roll down Lou Street with.
Oh, you talk about Land of the Snakes.
There it is. Yes,
or
Land
LA,
of the Snakes.
LA of the Snakes.
Yeah. Land of the Snakes. That's what I would take from that one.
All right. Next.
2014.
Yes.
I'm going apparently.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
For Your Eyes Only. I feel like I know where you're going with For Your Eyes Only.
For Your Eyes Only.
Exactly. All right. Now KOD. What are you doing for KOD? Which, by the way, after listening to it on 420 again, I will say that I was very hard on it, and I feel like it most definitely sounds a lot better on the rerun. I still don't think it's his best project. I still don't think it's like at the top of his discography, but I do think it's okay.
I'm going Photograph.
Really?
Yeah.
And why is that?
Just because I feel like that's a song that, in terms of like the production wise and just
that it is different. It is different.
It's very different from everything else. So I actually
my ears perked up. I said, "Hold on." But I heard that song live, bro. Man, hearing those songs live was like hearing ATM live was crazy. Hearing KOD live was crazy, especially when he rapped that last verse. Crazy. I'm sorry, I'm fanning out. Sideline Story. That's easy. Like, I wouldn't say easy. Sideline Story or Never Told. This was between those two. Because Never Told is such an underrated track. But I'm on Sideline Story. Oh, wait. Sideline Story, Rise and Shine. Oh, hey, you know the
Damn,
first
I forgot
album.
all about
the
Rise
first
and
album
Shine.
was actually heat. His first album was actually heat.
I gotta change.
You going Rise
I'm
and
going
Shine?
Rise and Shine. I forgot all about that. Oh, that was the 2K16.
I'm still going Sideline Story. Rise and Shine, like, it's such,
My slob getting, I said my slob. My knob getting slobbed up in it.
Yeah,
Holland God, man.
but,
You would have thought that God was in it.
Born Sinner, it's either, if we're doing a deluxe, no, we're gonna do the regular. It's either between Let Nas Down and or Rich Niggas. I don't even say the N word, so I kind of feel dirty saying it.
Bro, shut up. Shut up.
I gotta go with Let Nas Down. It's so classic, bro. Well, yeah, I'm going with Let Nas Down. Even though I got many, this Born Sinner is one of my favorite albums by him. But yeah, Let Nas Down. Forest Hills Drive. I'm going with. I'm going with. This is tough. I'm not gonna lie. I'm going with. I'll go with Apparently Too. I'll go with Apparently Too.
Yes, sir.
I'll go with Apparently Too. For Your Eyes Only, it's a toss up between For Your Eyes Only, Ville Mentality, and
Folding Clothes. No, I'm just kidding.
no, Ville Mentality and Change. Oh, hey, I'm not gonna lie. I might go with Change. I think I'm gonna go with because Change is like, I can play that song like For Your Eyes Only. I have to be in the right mood to play that song because it hurt. Like, it really, like, Change hurts too, but it's like the upbeat production behind it kind of keeps me afloat. Whereas every time I listen to For Your Eyes Only, it's like, damn. And the thing is, I cannot listen to For Your Eyes Only as a solo track. So I kind of have to go with Change because Change is such a powerful song, but you can also play that, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, anywhere. So yeah, no, Change. And then KOD, I'm probably going, it's a toss up between,
I feel like you're going Kevin's Heart.
no.
Wow.
It's either Once an Addict or Window Pane. That's a tough one. I'm not gonna lie. I'll probably go Window Pane. Just because, like, we talked about Cole doing something different. That beat he rapped over was crazy, but he made it his own. Window Pane is such a beautiful song. And it was, and honestly, I feel like songs like the song like Window Pane and like Brackets and like Once an Addict, like, that really saved that back half of the album, because half of the album was when he was trying to do trap stuff or whatever. It was kind of rapping different. But once he got to like Kevin's Heart and then Brackets and then Once an Addict and then Friends or whatever, and then he went to Window Pane in 1985. Like, that was what really saved like the back end of that album. So yeah, but I'll probably go with Window Pane for that album too. And that's all I got. Partner, do you want to take us out? I always do the takeouts, but I feel like you could do the takeout this time.
Wow. Okay. Give me a second. Let me pull the song up real quick. But thank you guys for joining us, man.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
This episode just is a tad bit longer than what they usually are. Apologize for that, but sometimes we get sidetracked, and sometimes Malcolm likes to talk. I'm fucking with you.
Like, you don't like to talk. We both like to talk. Don't do that.
But definitely, there it is. I don't know why I wasn't playing it first, but there it is. But I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you can have a conversation about some of the things we talked about, especially when it comes to like police in America and just George Floyd and justice in America in general. I hope you guys are able to take like some of these and have conversations. If you know us personally, don't be afraid and feel free to like reach out to us if you want to have a conversation about this stuff. And have a good day, have a good night, have a good evening whenever you listen to this. And it's been AY Malcolm, because my name is first alphabetically and I'm older.
But it's the May podcast.
But I'm older, so
we ain't gonna
we're out.
argue. We're gonna let Hill ride us out.
My sisters and my son and my crew. For them niggas that stood beside me when I ain't have a clue. A slimy nigga to the world, but he was soft, came to you. Picture me rolling with a wood inside a coupe with no roof. I got the wood, I got the coupe, wonder when I lose the roof.